Hi guys, it's April. Apparently Booktube-A-Thon is over and therefore I need to do a wrap up of what I may or may not have accomplished. Yeah, for this Read-A-Thon, I didn't hit nearly the number of books I wanted to hit. Technically, I only finished 4 books. 3 of those were actually planned for this Read-A-Thon. One of them I just needed to finish up, so I counted it so I could reach one of the challenges. Overall, I only read about 900 pages, but given what this week has been for me, 900 pages isn't that bad. It's nowhere near the level of reading I am normally used to, but it's still a decent amount, I feel like. I don't know. So I only finished, whatever you want to call it, 4 books, and I think I only accomplished 3 of the reading challenges, and that was to read a book with yellow on the cover, to read a book by your favorite author, and April can't count. Only 2. I only accomplished 2 of the challenges. Oh, so I may have done a little worse than I thought. What can you do? I'm alive. I count that as a win for this week. I really enjoyed doing the Booktube-A-Thon, even though I didn't really get to be as involved as I wanted to. Being here in Berlin, I think next year things are going to be completely different, and I'm okay with that. But for the first time doing this, I don't know, guys. I'm just gonna stop babbling, and I'm actually gonna do a wrap up. I'm gonna tell you about all the wonderfulness that I actually did complete. First book that I finished for Booktube-A-Thon, which met absolutely none of the requirements for any of the challenges except for my attempt to read 7 books, and that was Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I had started this on my travels here and didn't get it finished before the Read-A-Thon started, so I figured I had to read the last 100 or so pages, so I would count it as a win for the Read-A-Thon. Cheating? Maybe, but I don't care. Red Rising is a sci-fi novel about planet Earth has reached a state in which it cannot support all of human life. So we have reached out into the stars and have started colonizing Mars. There's different class structures and they're defined by colors. The reds are the miners right now who are working to make the planet inhabitable. They have a very strict working class structure that is imposed by some of the golds, and every once in a while there's this part of rebellion from some of the people because they feel like they're being used. Darrow is not one of those people who wants to rebel, but his wife, on the other hand, decides enough is enough, and through her actions, Darrow is set on a journey to infiltrate the golds, and he learns a few things about the world he is living in the process. I enjoyed the story. There were parts of it that I'm still trying to process. Another issue I had is I've read similar books to this kind of dystopian society, so there wasn't anything that was exactly new for me in the story, and there was an emotional disconnect between the characters and all this brutal battleism that was going on. So I'm not entirely sure how I felt about it. So my opinions may change over time. I may read the rest of the series. I don't know. Tell me down below if you've read the series and if you like it, or if you don't like it, or if I should continue on, or if I should just read it if it shows up. I'm in one of those moods. The next story I read was Poised or Protect by Gail Carriger. This is a little romantic novella that is set between the Finishing School series and the Parasol and Protectorate series. It is centered around Priscilla Valenti, who is one of the girls you originally meet in the Finishing School series. She's one of those ones that she's one of those girls. But in this story, you learn a little bit of her background and why she may be as she may be. She is known as the Morning Star because she has gone through 4 husbands, and she is given a task by one of the noblemen that I won't go into here because that is part of the fun of the story. She in turn meets Captain Gavin and things just kind of just get a little, you know, romance story. Those are what those are. It does contain Gail Carriger's signature wit, which I really enjoyed, and I just love the universe. So this was just a short little, overall I really enjoyed it, and I think it was that wit that carried it through, and I kind of understood some of the character flaws. So yeah, I did really like it. And then I got into the Hugh Howey universes. I was really excited to read more of Hugh Howey's work because, like I said, it's my mission to read as much as I can by him right now. And so I started with Halfway Home. And unfortunately, this story was another sci-fi story about Earth running out of resources, so they're sending out other people to populate other places. This is a story of such a colony that lands on a planet. If the planet is viable, these embryos are grown into full-grown adults that can then populate and then send out more embryos to colonize other planets. Halfway Home is a story about a colony that gets stuck halfway between the abort sequence and valid planet. This gets into some weird YA dystopian sci-fi stuff that I find just, I wanted to because I love Hugh Howey and he makes some very poignant points. He makes some very poignant points in his storytelling, but because it was too close to all of those struggling for survival sci-fi YA stories, so it's a lower of the Hugh Howey stories that I read. I did still enjoy it. I predicted what was gonna happen and it just flowed like the typical struggling teens in a colony survival issue. Right? So that was that. And then finally I picked up The Shell Collector, which is also by Hugh Howey. And I was really excited about this one, not only because the cover is absolutely gorgeous. This one accomplished the yellow book cover challenge, which because there's like this much yellow on it, but that's okay. This is a story centered around future Earth where the seas have warmed and risen, which has caused the extinction of a lot of sea creatures. Shells have become almost a form of currency. There's even a whole black market. You meet Maya Welch, who is a reporter who is doing a story on Ness Wild, who is the CEO of an oil company. I did not realize that this was going to be as much of a romance as it was. And unfortunately, that took away from it for me a little bit because I have gotten used to the Hugh Howey who smacks you in the face and rips out your heart and gives you all kinds of grunginess to deal with, and then to have this environmental message thrown in with this weird romance story, I didn't know how to process it. So this was another slight dud for me. Once again, there were some points in the story that I had to nod and go, yeah, I can see where that's coming from. And unfortunately, I also saw where it was going, and there was just too much slant on the whole romance that I wasn't overall impressed, but I am glad I read it. So those were the 4 books that I read for Booktube-A-Thon. I will be doing this in the future, and maybe I'll not be traveling while it is going on. I make no promises because Booktube-A-Thon is always in the summertime for good reasons, but that also means sometimes things fall in the middle of it, but I'm okay. If you were involved in Booktube-A-Thon, what was your favorite read and why? I heart you read over faces. Bye.